Hi, everyone. This is Lisa Tchaikovsky with Seven Story Publishing. We have author Katelyn Pfeiffer here today. How are you
Yeah.
doing, Katelyn?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm super excited to talk about your book and your writing. Can you tell us about it and how you were inspired with the idea for it?
Yeah, so I actually was given the idea for my first book, City of End. It is the first in a five-part young adult dystopian series. The overall umbrella series is called the Providence Chronicles. And at the last Saturday of January 2018, I can remember it because it was so vivid. I had a full sensory dream that was just as vivid, if not more vivid, than everyday waking life. And with the dream, I don't even know how long I was in it, but when I woke up, my first thought was, what the heck was that? It was crazier than anything like I've ever watched or anything like that. I could smell, I could taste, I could hear, I could feel, like it was fully immersive. And I could not get the dream out of my head. And I thought about it for a while. And I'm a believer. I believe in the Lord, and I believe that he speaks to us. And I do believe that one of the avenues that he speaks to us is through dreams. It's in the Bible, but I still think today that he talks to us. And so I was sitting in prayer and I asked the Lord, what the heck? Like, what is going on with this dream? I cannot get it out of my head. And I heard him say, it's a book. And so I went, okay. So I ended up writing out the dream. I still have the paper in my notes of the dream when I wrote it out. And when I read it back to myself, I quickly read between the lines that he had not given me one book to write, but he had given me 5 books to write. And
Wow.
that this story was really going to be such a journey, not just for me, because in 2018, I had yet to meet my husband. I met him later that year. And then the next year we got married. And so I wrote the book. You cannot find the first edition of it anywhere. I self-published. I took it down when I got with my publishing company because they couldn't have same titles on Amazon. It'd be conflicting, but yeah, I started in 2018. City of End released last year in October, and since then, the second book, City of Truth, is written. It is with my editor right now, waiting to be published. City of End actually just won the 2025 Chrysalit International Book Award for the book. So I just got that news on Friday. So I'm really excited to tell the
Congrats.
world. Yeah. And it's just been this journey. And that is where we're at right now.
That's amazing because usually you can't remember your dreams or you remember them for 5 minutes. So the fact that you did, I 100% think that's meant to be. That
Mhm.
is so incredible. And I'm so excited. I can't believe book two is in the works and you won an award. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I think I'm still digesting. I mean, it's just it was the second award I put the book in for that came on the heels about 2 weeks after learning that the first award I was not nominated for, but that's totally okay because this was my first book, my first debut book. And but then when I got the email, it was just like, oh my gosh, it's interesting because when you become an author and you write, there are pieces of it that are extremely lonely, and there are pieces of it where you're going, am I even doing this? Like, why am I doing this? What is the purpose?
Mhm.
Nobody's gonna like this. There's a lot of imposter syndrome, but then hearing the feedback on the book from my readers and my growing fan base, and then also getting a book award from the UK. This is an international book award. And there's been other authors like Bear Grylls have won this award, Joyce Meyer, Lisa Turkhurst, like all of these huge names have won this award. And I'm just kind of going, oh wait, I actually wrote something that, that people are that I don't just love, but other people are loving too. And that feeling is, I mean, we don't necessarily write for awards, but having the award and realizing that all of my hard work did actually pay off and it's not just some pipe dream is, it's a really, really good feeling. It's really amazing. Just not been able to stop smiling about it whenever I think about it. So, yeah.
You should still be smiling 'cause it makes you feel legit,
Yeah,
Do you have formal training as a writer or no?
I do not.
That makes it even better.
I could not tell you even today. My editor's like, "That's an adverb," and I go, "Great." That doesn't help me. Like, should it be there? Should it not be there? And so really honestly, when the Lord started speaking to me at the end of 2017 about becoming a writer, I was kind of like, what? Like, I am the girl that failed English. I don't know. So since 2018, really have kind of taken a very different route than I think a lot of other authors do, in that I took a creative writing class in community college, but I don't have an English degree. I didn't go to writing classes. I actually wrote the first book and was kind of like, here, world, here's this thing I did in 3 months and enjoy it. And then the Lord brought me to a writing conference, the Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference, which the acronym is just as hard to say as the full name. Sure. And it was there that I really felt like the Lord was saying, rewrite this book, get a publisher, an actual publisher. Unfortunately, I fell victim with the first book of the glamour publishers, the glamour press. Yes, I'm not the only one, which is encouraging and disheartening to hear at the same time. But I met up with some amazing authors who are published authors and really out there doing incredible work that saw something in me that was worth cultivating. And then I had a short list. I had 3 publishers that I only wanted to pitch my manuscript to. And the second one on my list is who picked me up. So
amazing.
Yeah. And they called me on the phone. I still remember the phone call. Her name is Crystal. She called me and she says, "We want your book. However, it needs work. It's not ready yet. And I want you to work with this person." And so I worked with her, and she thought she was just going to be editing. And then she read my manuscript and she went, "You've never taken a writing class, have you?" And I said, "Nope." And she said, "Okay, we're going to put you through a writing class." And she put me through about 2 months of an intensive writing course and put me through my paces. Her name is Karen Beery, and she is amazing. And she is also with my publishing company. She's just phenomenal. And she told it to me straight, and she put me through my paces, but it was what I needed. And but she was so encouraging and just really in my corner. And then once I finished it, I pitched it and they said, "We want it." And then they picked up book 2. So we're I kind of like
that's incredible. What a journey. And it's a traditional publisher too. Like, they do everything for you.
They are a hybrid publisher. So the owner of the company, Deb, and Crystal, who is my acquisitions editor, between the two of them, they've been in the industry for about 25 years. But they're a small press. They're up in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and the nice thing about them being a hybrid publisher is there's a lot more flexibility with things. After a certain amount of time, kind of the copyright comes back. It's still copyrighted in my name, but then I have more control over it versus a traditional publisher. And they're just a phenomenal group of people. And I honestly couldn't have gone with I don't think there could have been a better company for me now or possibly ever with the other books I want to write. I kind of love them. So I will always push people who are interested in writing into looking into a traditional or a hybrid publisher in some way, because they do all of the they have their editors, they have their cover designers. The only difference is there's no like sign-on package as according to traditional publishers. But I mean, the books are on Amazon. Yeah, they're print to ship. So once people order, the book gets printed and sent to them, which helps keep the publisher's overhead costs down and helps me with a little bit of extra royalties in my pocket. So that's always good when you're trying to make it as an author. Every little bit helps. So
I agree, and it sounds amazing. I'm so happy for you that you won the award and you have this incredible publisher, because it gives other authors hope. And I'm actually like surprised they put you through a writing course like that. That's something I haven't heard of. That's why it was really interesting to hear about. But it
yeah,
sounds like a really positive thing for you.
it was between the writing conference and getting in with my publisher. I don't think I would be where I am now without, I mean, I know I would not be where I am now without my publisher, without their Elk Lake Publishing Incorporated. And I would not be where I am now without them. They're just an incredible group of people who work really, really hard to get authors who have a story to be told out into the world. So yeah.
I think that's incredible. Oh my goodness. Is this what you do full time, or do you do something else and do this as a side business right now?
I am a stay-at-home mom, so that is my full-time, but this is, yeah, it is a job. It is. We have 2 littles. Our son Amos will be 4 in October, and our daughter Tabitha will be 2 in August. So they
You really are busy.
I am a busy mama. But this is definitely like my heart outside of the home are my books and getting to talk to people and getting to meet. I'm also a resin artist, so I do resin work, and I have my work in a shop here locally, and then I also teach workshops because it's so much fun to see other people learning about the joy of resin and learning that. And then that also helps, since we're one income, the proceeds from my resin business help me to then push my books. So it's a little bit, it kind of all goes hand in hand, but it's definitely something that my hope and my dream are for these books to really become a legacy for my kids. And my big hope and my big dream is, if I'm dreaming really, really big, is to land hopefully one day a movie deal with these books, so that my husband can do the work that he wants to do instead of the work that he has to do, because he loves what he does, but his heart is so for people that I want to see him in a job that he really is his heart, versus something that he has to do because he's the breadwinner in the family. And so, and I want to take my kids traveling. I want to take them, places. I want them to see that mommy can be home with me, but she can also make a successful career outside of the home that's flexible enough to where she's always with me, because they're my hearts. So
I think you're absolutely inspiring them. You've got an amazing publisher. You're writing your books. You're on to your second one. Oh my goodness. What would it look like to be a successful author? What does being successful mean to you as an author?
So it's a great question, because I think being a successful author changes as you grow as an author. So for me, in the beginning, being a successful author meant getting a publishing deal, realizing like, oh, somebody actually wants to help me get my word out there. And now a successful author is, I've won an award. So now I feel like, oh, I am actually a success, And I think like I mentioned movie deals, I think big picture for me, the success would be seeing my book all around the world, seeing people, there is a Christian message to my books, but it's not one where you're going to be hit over the head with the Bible or anything like that. But I want to get the gospel message in as many people's hands as possible in a way that is non-confrontational, which I love fantasy. That's why my books are young adult dystopian, because I love reading that. And I keep telling people, if you're going to write a book, write the book that you yourself want to read, because you're going to read it about 50 times in editing before it goes to print. And then people are going to want to talk to you about your book. And so write the book that you as a reader would want to read. And write the book that's close to your heart. And so as a successful author right now, my success is very much tied up in how are people receiving the book? What is the reception? I did one of the ladies at our church, she owns a painting studio. They do portraits, they do all sorts of stuff. And she's got a paintings hanging up in like the National Archives. I mean, she's phenomenal. And we collaborated and we did an event where a couple of her artists actually painted scenes from my book.
Oh my God.
And then it was so cool. And then we did a book signing, and I had a girl show up towards the end of the signing who had driven 2.5 hours just to come meet me and get a copy of my book and talk to me. And I was just like, what? Is this really happening right now? Like, you hear about this stuff from other people, but you don't ever think about it. You hear people who drove 2.5 hours to a Taylor Swift concert, but you don't think it's ever gonna, happen to you. And just hearing the feedback from people of what they liked about the book and how it got them thinking and what was impactful, that to me feels very much like success. Am I making what J.K. Rowling made off of Harry Potter? No, I'm not. But for her, that was a success that she needed, and for me, this is the success journey that I'm on right now. And so big picture wise, I know I already spoke about this, but I would love for these books to be made into a TV show or movies and to be involved in that process. That would really feel like a big, huge success to me. But overall, it's more how is the message impacting other people, and how is it helping my family to become stronger and grow and become more flexible and be able to live a more abundant life is really where my heart is at with the book.
I think that's amazing. And then I think also those little or medium-sized successes is, I don't want to diminish winning an award or somebody driving 2.5 hours, those lead up to those big picture ones too. And that's so flattering that she drove that far to meet you. Like, that's incredible.
She's like the sweetest woman too. And she has a 10-month-old child at home, and her husband's like, go to your book thing. Like, you love books. We're fine. Go. And so, I mean, it just it was totally, yeah, I know, it totally blew me away, and I'm going, how what is happening right now? It was very, very cool. It was very, very cool.
And that shows the impact of your books too. And I think especially in the climate that we have right now, what's going on in the world, we need more books that are like yours and like your story, because that's really inspiring, because it shows that even though you have a full-time job, you can still live your dream. And it shows that too, you can get inspired in the most different and kind of strange ways, but that's okay. Being a creative person, that's how you kind of get the juices flowing and get it to where you want to be. Do you get inspired at like odd times when you're writing your other books? Are you working on book 3 as well?
Yeah. So book 3 is starting to kind of percolate in my head. I finished my edits for book 2 about 2 days before schedule. So it's back to my editor, and she's going to do the more sort of intensive line edits where they go through and they make sure that like everything is working out, which doesn't take nearly as long as stage 1. Stage 1 with the copy edits and making sure what do we need to add, what do we need to take away is crazy. And it very differently than the first book. This second manuscript really stretched me and broke me in a couple places. And there were definitely a few moments where I really felt like I'm not going to get this done on time in my deadline. But that was really good. That was a good growing experience for me. And book 3, because it's a series, we're trying to end each book with not a cliffhanger, but enough of an ending to where if nobody picks up the next book, then then they're okay. You know, they might be curious if there are any other books, but like if you
Cool.
think of the way that Harry Potter ends,
Yeah.
each book has a clear ending. However, when the next book comes out, you know there's possibly going to be other books. The
That's
third
a
book,
great idea.
yeah, it's a really good one because the way I first wrote the first book and even somewhat the second book, because again, I'm still learning. I'm always going to be learning the craft of writing.
Yep.
I'm ever going to stop. My editor was still like, it's a little too much of a cliffhanger. We need something a little bit more, you know, to tie this up in case readers aren't able to get the third book, which I love that advice.
Yeah.
So I generally wait until I finished the first manuscript and it's really like the previous one, it's really fresh on my mind before I start the next manuscript. But as ideas come, I start writing them down. And there's always that moment of, oh, am I going to actually have an idea for the third book? Where are we going to go with this? And then the minute we ended the second book, I was already starting to think through, what are we going to do for the third book? And I'm really excited about it. This is probably gonna be, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but this one's going to have a lot of really cool little snippets and pieces in it. And it's a very different look at the world that these characters are living in. And I think as far as the dystopian speculative fiction field goes, this one might err a little bit more on the fantasy versus the dystopian sci-fi, but there will still be a lot of those dystopian threads. So it's going to be a cool mash. I'm really excited about it. Even my editor was like, wait, are these going to be in the next book? I don't want to give away what it is. But I'm like, yeah, just wait for the third one. It's going to be really, really cool. And I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love that. And I love how it sounds with the progression too. When you wrote your characters, did you write them spontaneously or did you kind of draw them out a whole bunch first and then, put them into the story in the book?
So my main character, her name is Eeyore. For anybody who is reading the book or has read the book and doesn't know how to pronounce her name, it is pronounced Eeyore. Think Eeyore, but with an A. She and the main good male character, Redder, were both in my dream. So they were in the dream exactly how they appeared in my dream. The other characters, Narcissa, she's the main evil character in the first book. And then there's Viad, who's like the big bad. He's the big bad character. And then there's Kaz and Lore, and they're the other sort of main characters of the first book. The other characters really came out when I was writing out the dream, and then they just kind of flowed. It was just this wellspring inside of me that came out to where I sort of storyboarded. I'm a bit what they call a pantser. I don't really outline. I just have an idea of where the book's going to go, and then the book kind of writes itself. But I really spent a lot of time writing out my characters. I wanted to know what their family life was like. I wanted to know their background, what their voices sounded like, what they smelled like, how they dressed, everything about them, because when you write books with any sort of character in it, they become real to you. They're a part of you. And I remember after finishing it the first time, I actually almost went into a little mini depression. I missed my people. Like I missed my world, and I was in it every single day for hours. And so, yeah, these characters really kind of, I already knew them. Like I could see them in my mind and I knew exactly who they were going to be. And then as each book has come out and I've written each book, there's been new characters that I've come to know, and I've come to love, and I've come to decipher and figure out. And there'll be a couple new characters in the third book, and there's some new characters in the second book that I'm really excited to see how people respond to them, and kind of how these my original characters, the sort of core characters, how they grow, because your characters should always grow. They shouldn't just be one level all the time, because we're not one level as humans. We have things happen to us and we change and we grow and we react differently depending on our stress level throughout the day. I react very differently to my kids if I'm stressed out versus if I'm not, and they respond differently. So it's really cool to see. And since I don't write with outline and I let my books write itself, there are many times that I'm typing and I'm like, I did not know she was going to do that. Like, what? And I'm surprised too. It's a journey for me as an author too. And
I love that.
It's a cool journey. It's a really cool journey to go on with my characters.
I can definitely tell. And I love hearing how your method is, because there's a lot of authors that storyboard, that outline, but just letting it flow, I feel like is one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about being an author?
Oh, goodness. Oh, my favorite thing about being an author. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it's the discovery. It's discovering a depth of myself that I didn't know was there. And it's going on this, like I said, it's going on this journey with my characters. The other really cool thing about it is how my world has changed since I became a published author, and how I'm meeting all these other authors who write in a wide range of genres, and I'm talking to people about books, and I'm having these great conversations, and I'm finding a side of myself that I didn't really know was there, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute of it. And my husband is so supportive of my journey, and he's just so incredible with all of it. And my kids are as patient and supportive as they can be at 4 and 2, with mom having to work, sometimes. But yeah, I think it's the discovery aspect. It's discovering my world constantly, this world that I'm sort of living in when I'm writing these books, but also discovering who I am when I'm an author. Like, who is this person that I am, and how it feels so real and so like me, and the piece of me that after having our son, I really felt like I lost a piece of myself in motherhood. And then, because motherhood itself too can be very, very, very isolating and very, very lonely. And this book side of me really kind of saved me during that time. And so it's really cool to see, to invite people into that side of myself.
I love hearing that, because it's not an answer you would typically expect or that I've heard before. And I think you explain it in such a good way. People need to realize that writing is about who we are as people, and I love how you explain that so much. I'm really excited to see how people react to that. We have a couple more minutes. Can you tell everybody where we can contact you, find your books, your social media?
Yeah, so I am on Facebook. You can find me, Katelyn E. Pfeiffer. My Facebook author page is the Providence Chronicles. I'm also on Instagram as Providence Chronicles, and Threads under the same. And then my my website is CaitlinEPfeiffer.wixsite.com/Providence Chronicles, all one
Amazing.
word. And so you can find me there. I almost always have my phone on me, which is both good and bad. So if I get an email or a message from somebody, I love connecting with folks. So if you want, my book is available on Amazon. So it is called City of End by Katelyn Pfeiffer. And the cover is teal and has a woman on the cover. And it's the second book, which is called City of Truth, is going to be coming out this summer.
Yay! That's so exciting. How do you feel about that? Number 2.
I am so excited. I am not ashamed to share with everybody that I turned 40 this summer, and I'm kind of hoping for a birthday book release. So
that would be incredible. That would make it so much more special. The matter the number.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. But I will also, for anybody who is in the Virginia area, I will be at the Big Lit Comic-Con at the Dulles Expo Center the last Saturday of May and the first Sunday of June. They're talking about my books talking about book 2 and hanging out and meeting also. I'll have some resin stuff inspired by my book, and I hopefully will get to meet some of y'all. So
Me too, because I really loved hearing your story and your journey. And I think that's so incredible. You're going to do a Comic-Con. Like, that's so exciting. And
I
I'm
was
so excited for book 2 as well.
Yeah. I was a huge fan of anime growing up in high school, and I never got a chance to go to a convention of any kind. So I'm really like the little high school nerd in me is like, yes, I'm excited. So
that's incredible. You're gonna have the best time. Oh my gosh, you have to post all about it on social media because I definitely want to follow that in your journey. And I can't wait to see book 2 come out. Please do a cover teaser as well. We'd love to see it.
Yes, I will be happy to. Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah.
You are so welcome. You're amazing. Thank you so much, Katelyn, for being here. And I can't wait to see your next book.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you for having me on. And hopefully I'll get to talk to you guys again soon.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Thank you.